Hey there, my web crafting wizards. Do you want your website to stand out from the bunch, maybe add a little pizzazz to it? 3D is such a fantastic way to do that. And today I want to show you a really easy way you can add interactive elements to your website. So as you can see, we have this energy drink design here. And as you can see, the liquid that's coming out of it, it's all dynamic. So whenever we move our mouse around, it follows it, and when we interact with the liquid, it also combines with it, which is super cool. So if you want to add something like this to your landing page, it'll be a really good idea, and you'll be able to do this in just a couple of minutes. So follow along. Let's get going. So there's two things we need to get up and going. For the 3D elements, we'll be using Spline, and then we'll be using Wix Studio to essentially embed that 3D into our website. And Wix Studio makes it really easy because they have a nice, easy integration with Spline. So let's get going. So if you don't have an account, just log in here in Spline, and then we can go here and create a new file. And we'll be working with primitive shapes, so you don't really need to import anything other than the can, which I'm gonna link you where you can get it from. So let's just delete this little rectangle here that we have by default. Get rid of that. Actually, we can leave it and kind of just use it as a backdrop. So let's just extend it out a little bit like that. Let's not rotate it. Let's put it in the middle. And next up, what I want to do is set a resolution for this canvas. So the way we can do that is go up here to the top, and as you can see where we have responsive, we can choose a custom size. You can leave it as responsive as well, but it'll be a bit simpler to follow along like this. So I'll do 1280 here by like 960, something like that, kind of like a 720p resolution. So now that I have defined, I can just take this shape now and kind of position it so it covers the whole area here. I'm also going to pick a color here. So for now, let's just go here to the bottom and pick kind of like an orangey hue. To get access to the can, I just went on Sketchfab here and search energy drink, and make sure you click also the downloadable button here, and you can scroll through. They have a couple of basic ones here, but I really like this one called Genshin Chili Energy. That design looks sick to me. So you can just go here to the bottom and hit download, and you want to make sure to get the GLB format here. Once that's done, we can just simply go here to the top and import it like that. We'll be bringing it down, and then if you grab the corner here, we can just scale it up to any size we want. Now, I don't want this to be all in the frame, so I kind of want this to be just like halfway out like that. Something like that, going halfway up. There we go. Now it's up to you if you want this to cast any shadows. For me personally, I don't want that effect. So I'll just go here, select the rectangle in the back, and go here to cast shadows and receive shadows, and turn both of those off. Now I also want to blend this a little bit more with my backdrop here. So I'm going to go to lighting here. I'm going to bring this up all the way to the top. I think that looks a bit better. I'm going to hit plus here to add a new one, and we're going to switch this over to Fresnel. As you can see, that's going to add that nice outline to it. And what I want to do with that is essentially kind of match up with the background color that I have here. So let's just go to the rectangle. I'll make this a bit more orange than usual, something like that. And then I can grab this and kind of match it up with the same color. So let's go to Fresnel color here, and we can even color pick this. So if we go there, let's click the color picker, and I'm just gonna hit the background there. As you can see, that kind of blends it more. It just makes it look a tad bit nicer. So if we can now go here and turn this off and on, as you can see, you get that nice blending. What I want to do now is I want this to animate it. So the way we can do that is go up here to the top and create two states. So for the base state is gonna be where it's gonna be left at, right? But the original state here, I'm just gonna squish this a little bit like that, and then also bring it a tad bit down like that. Okay, so now here on the events tab, I can add it so on start, so when the scene loads up, I can transition over the current state that I'm on to the base state like that. And I'm gonna choose a spring easing here. All right, so when we hit play, as you can see, that kind of pops up like that. It looks pretty cool. All right, cool. We can also add a little rotation to it. So all I have to do is go to the state here, rotate the Y, for example, a little bit, and that's it. So now when we play, as you can see, it rotates up nicely like that. Boom. Great, now we need to make that liquid, and for the liquid we're going to be using the new shape blend tool that they have here, which is really cool. So click the plus icon, and as you can see they have a shape blend tool. So let's click that, and let's position this. As you can see, it kind of has a big rectangle circle on it. So that's where all the blending can happen. So let's just grab this and expand this out. So shape blend, I'm gonna click here. I'm gonna hold Control Shift and just raise this up kind of like there, all right, to that size. So that looks all great for me. Now all we need to do is, in the shape blend tool, create multiple different shapes. So this is our main shape. We're gonna leave this here. Maybe we'll move it a tab up. Let's see when it animates. Okay, that's kind of the position I wanted. But now I'm gonna duplicate this one more time. And as you can see, it blends automatically for us, which is super duper cool. However, one thing I do wanna note is here we can also change the operation. So for now it's on, I think, union it's called, but if I switch this over, as you can see, you can also do the opposite of it if you want. And you can also change the blending mode here. So if I go here to blending and increase this to 200, as you can see, it already starts blending with it from a long distance. So it's up to you kind of how you want to customize this. Let's see here. I'm gonna leave mine at, let's do a blending on this of a bit less, maybe like 100. And I'm also gonna decrease the size of this. So let's make it much smaller, something like that. Now what I want here to happen is I want this to follow my mouse. So I'll just grab this. Let's rename this to mouse drop, something like that. And then here on the events, I'm gonna hit plus, and we are gonna go to start and switch this over to follow instead. I'm gonna add a little bit of damping here as well. Let's try 50, and it's gonna target the cursor and see how that looks like. So when I move it, as you can see, it follows it, but the dampening makes it much slower. So maybe that's a bit too slow. So let's decrease this to something like 15. So that's playing now. And as you can see now, it's much quicker. But one more thing I want to do is have the bubble in front of it and not behind it. So let's kind of see what's going on here. If I zoom out and hold Alt, I can rotate this around like that. There we go. And as you can see, these are in the shape. So we need to move these out, okay? So we can either hit the angles here to kind of match left and right. So what we can do is just grab this whole shape blend. And I'll just move this forward, something like that. All right, give it a bit of space. We can even move it much further ahead like that. Okay, so as long as that stays in front, it should be good. So let's give it a go, and perfect. Okay, look at that. And we even get the little shadow there going. Lovely job. Now that this follows the mouse, what I want to do is have 3 smaller, or at least 2 smaller shapes within this little circle. So here we go. I'm just going to Control C, Control V twice on this. And I'm going to name this 2, and this is drop 3. Okay, so let's take drop. And then on the second one here, let's make this much smaller. So I'm going to just make it much smaller and put it back in there. Same for the third one. I'm going to make this much smaller, really small, and put it back in there. Now what I want to do is go over to mouse drop 2, and instead of following the cursor, let's make it follow the original big mouse drop. All right, and then we can choose a different dampening for these. So you can choose a different dampening for that and a different dampening for the third one as well. So that's hit play and kind of see how this behaves. So there we go. As you can see, it follows it, but we might need to change the actual following speed here for all of them. Let's go on the second one. I'm gonna add a dampening of 8. And on the third one, I'm gonna do even less. We're gonna do 4. So as you can see, it's already trying to separate, but the blending might be a bit too much. I'm gonna go on the second mouse drop and just change the blending to something like 25 or 30. And then let's go on the third one and also change this to 15. So kind of half of that as well. And there we go, you can get a nice little effect going like that. And now if we interact with this element as well, as you can see, it just combines with the shape, which is really cool. But the problem is it doesn't really look like water or a liquid. So let's try to make it resemble a bit closer. Now we can just apply everything on this shape blend rather than on each individual bubble here. So we can just select this and let's go over to the color tab here. And first of all, we'll leave the lighting and color here the way it is. We're gonna add a new one on the side. And the first one is gonna be glass. So let's look for it in the panel here. There we go. We're gonna leave it at 100. Let's open this up. Blur is gonna be at 10. Now the thickness is gonna be much bigger here. So let's do 110 and that's it, okay? So make sure you have 110 there in the value. We can close this up. We're also going to add a new one and call this Fresnel. So let's add the Fresnel. As you can see, that's going to give it a really nice outline here. And we don't really want much to go on here. We can just turn this almost to black, like 2121 around that value. And we're going to change the blend mode of this to, let's do, which one looks better here? It might be screen. Let's try overlay. That might look a bit nicer. So let's go here. Click on the little icon here and choose overlay. There we go. And now it kind of blends with the color as well. And last but not least, we're also going to add a matte cap here. So for that, let's add a plus icon and the one that looks pretty cool here. So go to matte cap, click on the icon, and the first one here, see, it kind of does look like a liquid. And then here, we're also going to change the blending mode to overlay like that. If this looks a bit too intense for you, there's two things you can do. Either do this to screen like that. Actually, that looks really nice. Or you can keep overlay and then just lower kind of the effect here. So it's up to you. We can kind of mess around. That actually looks quite nice. I do like the look of that. There we go. Let's also add a nice little animation to this bubble. So on the base state, we'll just lower this to 0 here. So we can just type 0. And then the normal state, of course, is just going to pop back to 1, right? So base state is default. So on the start event now, we can add a start on the bubble. There we go. And all we'll do is transition. So what we want to do is go from the base state to this new state. And the easing should be spring here. Let's also add the delay of 1 second. Hit play. Boom. There we go. Would you look at that? How cool. Let's also add a nice little spinning state to this. So what I can do is just grab this, make a new state. Let's call this spin. And all I want here is to rotate this 360. That's all. 360. And now we can loop the states between 2 and 3 by doing this. Check this out. We go on the start. And here, from 2 to 3, I can do from base state to spin, give it 5 seconds, linear, and then infinitely loop it in here. So now when I hit play, as you can see, it goes like that, and then it just starts spinning indefinitely, which is super duper cool. And look at that, how it interacts with all the different elements. We can also add like a nice background here. So if you want to do a text or something like that, we can just drag that in like that. Let's call this Genshin Impact to kind of match the aesthetic. We can increase the font size there. Let's kind of position this. Let's do a bit more. We'll do 250. That's a bit too big. 150, something like that. Okay, that's maybe a bit smaller, 135-ish like that. Again, feel free to kind of choose like your own font colors here. Have fun with it. Have fun with it. I'll just make it a bit bolder here. Let's do bold like that. That looks cool. And then we'll just change the color here to black just for the impact. Boom. Look at that. And then it interacts with the text as well, which is super cool. Love it. There we go. And then from here on, we are ready to export. So there's a couple of things we need to do. Go here to Export tab. We are gonna turn off here. If you go to Play Settings, make sure you get rid of the orbit, pan, zoom, and soft orbit. All right, and page scroll as well. We don't want the user to be able to do any of those actions. So let's make sure we turn those off here as well. We can update the public URL, and now to integrate it, we can simply get these two, like script tag and the spline viewer here. So let's just copy that over. And let's head over to Wix Studio and actually integrate this. So let's go here. We're gonna hit My Workspace. I'm just gonna create a quick new page for it. Let's go create a new studio template. I'm gonna choose a blank canvas here. And there we go. After we have it, we can go to the plus icon and check out how easy this is. This is the simplest thing in the bloody world. We can go over to embedded socials here and we can drag in this embedded code. All right, we can enter the code here and this is automatically gonna add the spline renderer in here. So let's copy that again. For some reason it didn't do it. Let's head back here, paste, there we go. Copy that correctly now and hit update. And that's it. Let's see if that updates. There we go. We can maximize the size of it. Let's just extend this out a little bit because this section is a bit too tight. So there we go. Let's drag it a bit out like that. So there we go, that's it. You can hit the eye icon there at the top to kind of see the preview of this and kind of how it would look on the website. And from here on out, feel free to just add more to this website and make it look all pretty. But that's how easy it is to add 3D interactive elements to your website. So hope you enjoyed this little episode. Let me know what you think of it. And let me know if you want to see more of this, because I absolutely love working with 3D in the browser. I feel like there's so much creativity, there's so much you can do with it. So I'll happily make some videos like that. So drop a like, drop a sub, do all the good stuff, and I'll catch you in the next one.